Jenny Lynn from Gordon Lightfoot, 88.3 FM, WQNA, Springfield. Ty?
I'm here.
All right.
Gordon?
Yeah.
All right. We're hooked up here and ready to fly.
It actually works.
Ladies, I'm going to introduce you, Gord, like Wolfman Jack did back in on the Midnight Special. Ladies and gentlemen, the legendary Gordon Lightfoot.
I seem to recall that.
Yes, yes. I can almost remember what you played.
Yeah.
That night. It was right when Cold on the Shoulder was coming out. You did...
The Midnight Special.
Yeah. Played some great stuff that night.
What would that have
It
been?
was good. That was a grand old time.
That would be back in the mid-'70s then?
Yeah, I got to... that was done in Los Angeles.
Uh-huh. Yeah, just about anybody who was anybody was on that show at one time or another.
Well, we certainly had a fine time doing the show anyway, and...
I'm Not Supposed to Care. I remember you played that and The Wreck.
Yeah. Well, like I say, it was a rare old time. There were some TV, not too many TV vehicles, really. Other than, I mean, you had to get on Midnight Special.
You hosted the Midnight Special.
Before anyone would think you were special. It had to be the Midnight Special.
Now, I'm curious, did you ever do American Bandstand?
I beg your pardon?
Did you ever do American Bandstand?
Close to it. I once did a locally programmed show at a Syracuse.
Oh, my. Well, it's first of all, thank you for talking to us. We very much appreciate that.
Thank you. I did shows that were similar to it.
Yeah.
But not American Bandstand. I was too late for that one.
Oh, okay.
Well, Gordon, let's. I kind of got the format lined out here, like we talked about. So I'm gonna ask you if you tell us where you were born at, when and where.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm from a little town called Orillia, which is up in central Ontario, and that's located about 80 miles north of the city of Toronto, on the north shore of Lake Ontario.
Okay.
In Canada.
Okay. When was that?
1938.
November 17?
November 17.
You know what day that was on?
Couldn't tell you.
It was a Thursday.
Okay, Ty.
Ty, you are really scaring me, man.
I looked it up.
Okay.
I also looked up the meaning of Gordon. Did you happen to know what the meaning of Gordon is?
No.
It means great hill.
All right.
It's Scottish. And now, what is your heritage, Gordon?
It is Scottish.
Okay. No Indian.
No Indian.
And you were telling me that the...
Sometimes I wish I were a North American Indian. It would be a lot different to deal with.
That'd be kind of cool. You were saying the record execs were expecting to see an Indian show up at their door?
They expected an Indian to show up at ABC Paramount Records in 1960. I went in there with a single.
So do you know anything about your family tree or...
Well, a friend of mine who is a geologist did did my tree for me, and it most definitely is Scottish.
Okay.
And it appears that most of my relatives did come from the British Isles. My side from Scotland.
And I guess Phil Oakes went on record back in the 60s as saying that you have the coolest real name in showbiz.
He and a couple of other people.
Yeah, at least a couple of other people.
Yeah.
You did at least one of Phil's songs back in the 60s, right?
Yes, I did. I did Changes.
Changes, that's a beautiful song. Do you believe in astrology?
Somewhat.
You ever had your chart done?
Yes, I have.
Okay. It seemed to be pretty accurate?
Yeah. It says lots of songs and and so forth.
Okay. You're a Scorpio?
I had mine done by a person out in San Bernardino somewhere years and years ago. A real old guru.
Okay.
at it, and it was quite positive. It sure fit the bill.
All right. So you're a Scorpio then?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
In reference to having one of the coolest real names in show business, do you have a middle name?
Meredith.
Meredith.
Meredith. Gordon Meredith Lightfoot.
I like that.
Thank you. I named my daughter Meredith. Well, my wife named my daughter Meredith.
She's what, like 5 now?
Yeah,
Is she in kindergarten?
that she is.
Okay.
That's a cool age.
Did she ever bring her dad to show and tell or anything?
Yes, she did. with the guitar.
Neat.
All right. What'd you play?
I played Diamond Joe by Ramblin' Jack Elliott and Tag Along.
Okay. I like Tag Along a lot. I remember one time I was with you like around 1980 or 1981. It was in Rockford, Illinois.
Yeah.
And we were in the lounge of the place you were staying, and the band got you up there to play a few songs. And one of the songs you played was Diamond Joe, and you played The Wreck. You said the guy's guitar that they loaned you reminded you of a dill pickle. And then when you came back to your seat, I said, "Hey, that was really good, Gord." You said, "It was lousy, but I did my thing."
Oh, I think I remember it. There were times when I would do that earlier on in my career, not so much today. I take it a little bit more seriously now. But I still hang out in the bar. But I had to give up drinking in 1982, so there you have it.
And I guess you are still playing, at least on a semi-regular basis, around. A friend of mine who lives out on the East Coast was mentioning that he's going to be seeing you on, I believe, March 25th out in the New York City area.
That would be the theater in Long Island, the theater in the Round.
I believe that is correct.
Long Island.
Yes.
Yeah, very nice little place.
Do you do a lot of dates in a year, or?
I can handle about 40 to 50 per year. This year we're doing the 50, but there are so many other things. I would like to tour more, actually, if I could, but I'm glad that I can't, if you can follow me.
Sure.
And but it's nice to be able to play and to be able to maintain. So we do quite a bit of practicing, and I'm still working on the writing and all that sort of thing. So,
when did you first realize you could sing, Gord?
I didn't know that I ever could.
Well, there are a lot of people that'll disagree with you right there.
Well, I don't know, but in the I guess at the junior choir, I was gotten into the junior choir at a very early age, and I had some piano lessons.
You were a boy soprano, right?
Yeah, ever onward from there.
Okay. When did you? How'd you learn how to sing harmony? Did you know how to do that before you went to Westlake, or was that something you?
Yeah, I could always harmonize.
You just have a natural.
My mother had 3 other sisters, and they used to sing together.
So it was kind of in the family.
Yeah.
Do you have perfect pitch?
No. I have good relative pitch, though, and I can recognize any interval you would care to throw at me, but maybe I should knock on wood before I try and do that.
Yeah, always that sense of humility is important. Yes.
Sometimes I have a little trouble with the minor 6 and the minor 7. Throws me a little bit every now and then.
I know what you mean. Da, 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 da.
Yeah. Okay. Now, you sang with Barbershop in a barbershop quartet for a while, right?
Oh, I didn't know that.
We did that. We did that in high school. We had a quartet that got put together by the science teacher in grade 9. And we were about the youngest quartet in the whole society competing at that time.
And which part did you sing?
I sang tenor in the first quartet I was in, but then after that quartet broke up, there was a second quartet. And in that one, I sang baritone.
Okay.
Do you remember some of the material that you did?
Yes. There was... they had a standard catalog, quite an expansive standard catalog, and there were some very good barbershop arrangements in there. that we could use, and quite a good selection of material as well.
I know a good barbershop song.
Which one do you know?
I know the one that goes, I got a humpback mule, a plow, and a tater patch. Eggs are gonna hatch someday. The Lord above and a good girl to love me. I'm the richest man in the world.
Hey! I like that one, and I have never heard that one before.
Nor have I.
Isn't that a
Check
cool
this one out.
All right.
Hello, my honey, hello, my baby, hello, my ragtime gal. Send me a kiss by wire, baby, my heart's on fire.
All right.
If you and so forth.
Would that be Send Me a Kiss by Wire by Endless Wire?
No, nothing to do with that.
Oh, okay. Just checking.
It's an old one.
Okay.
I heard it sung by one of the championship quartets one time. They used to put an album out of the championship quartet each year.
Cool. Now, did you study classical piano or not? I've read a contradictory print on that.
I don't play much piano, but I know the keyboard, and the piano is the best tool I have to work with.
All right. Do you enjoy classical music?
A little bit, like Mozart.
That was my next question. Do you have a favorite composer?
Probably Mozart, but maybe because of the movie Amadeus. But
that was a good movie.
Then I haven't made a big study out of it,
When did you first pick up the guitar?
15.
And what happened to lead you to the guitar? Anything in particular?
Well, the first time I did it was a uke, and it was for a ukulele for a skit that I was in.
Okay.
And then I very quickly tossed over the ukulele and got myself a guitar because I got kind of interested in it at that time. And Elvis was just coming up, too, and there was an increased interest in guitar playing amongst my cohorts in high school, in the early days of high school, and I guess that's about the time I learned to noodle a couple of chords.
Okay, what was your first guitar?
It was a harmony.
Wow, I had a harmony.
An arch top.
You still have it?
Yeah, it's still, I've carried that with me all my years. It even made it through the move.
Wow, all right. How about the first time on a 12-string?
I started the 12-string about in my early 20s because I was doing a single, and I saw Bob Gibson play and became a friend of his, and he sort of taught me how to get around the 12-string with the capoing.
Is he a Nashville musician? Is he a Nashville musician?
No, Bob's from Chicago.
From Chicago.
Yeah,
okay.
he passed away a little while ago, but he was one of the really major figures of the folk revival that started in about 1960.
Okay. Is there anything unique about your approach to the guitar with a flat pick?
He played kind of his other instrument was a 5-string banjo, and he had a real strange and unique way of stroking that 12-string. Kind of almost like frailing a banjo.
Okay.
And I just sort of assimilated that with the flat pick as years went by, and sort of combined it with the country that I began to hear and all the other various folk artists. And Dylan came on strong in the scene, and I was influenced by him a great deal.
How about your approach to finger picking the guitar?
I got that. I learned that from my former lead guitarist, Red Shea, taught me how to play that, and he learned that from Merle Travis.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Not a bad person to learn it from.
And then my dentist taught me another single stroke style. He was an amateur guitarist who played guitar for fun and did dentistry as his main work, and he taught me one of the other styles of finger picking.
I have a question. You mentioned Dylan a couple of minutes ago.
He also said you better listen.
Well,
carry on.
Okay. The moment that kind of came to mind when I thought of Dylan is kind of when he went electric and really changed things. Do you recall what your initial reaction to that was?
Well, I was there, and he came up there with one of the bands that he was using at the time, and it consisted of mainly of two guys, Harvey Brooks and Michael Bloomfield, who became the Electric Flag, which really was a very successful band after that.
Right.
A lot of people are under the impression that it was the band, but the band really did not start working with Dylan until about 1974 or thereabouts.
Right.
When did you first meet Red Shea? How'd you meet Red? You stay in touch with him?
I was just talking to Red 2 weeks ago. Let's go back to this Dylan thing again.
Okay, sure.
It's like the reaction there was not an extreme and hostile reaction at all. It was I found it to be quite acceptable. That was at Newport, at the Newport Folk Festival. He appeared with a little rock band up there, and it seemed to go over quite well. There were a couple of jeers and maybe one or two pennies. People got in the habit of throwing pennies up on the stage.
Really?
At that point, but Dylan didn't care. He just kept on cranking it out anyway. It didn't make any difference to him. He was on a mission, you know. It was good. It was exciting.
Did you become friends with him about that time?
Well, I don't know. I wouldn't say that I ever became his friend, but I became an acquaintance of his because of the management office of Albert Grossman managed several acts, and he and I were both a part of that office, although I was brought in there really by Ian and Sylvia and Peter, Paul, and Mary.
Right.
And Dylan was there, and later it was Janis Joplin and the band, and Todd Rundgren and a whole bunch of people, and got to meet a lot of people. On the other hand, I think that Bob appreciated my music as much as I did his, and he was very kind to me through the years, and maybe if I didn't think I was so hip, I sort of felt better knowing that he sort of believed in me too. You follow me?
Yes.
Gotcha.
And other than that, it's been just touch base here and there. He came to the house a couple of times. We had one of the big parties around the Rolling Thunder Review was held at my house in Toronto. You know, one thing and another, he came up to do a presentation for me when they gave me the Hall of Fame award up here in Canada one year, which I thought was very decent of him.
For sure.
And other than that, I just, I guess he would be my all-time favorite in terms of who I like.
Do you have a favorite Dylan song?
How's about, where would you like me to start? I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's like picking a favorite finger maybe or something.
I always go back to Chimes of Freedom, you know, I'm talking about his fourth or fifth album, you know,
right,
where things were happening there, and it went through the rock phase, and then it came around to Slow Train Comin',
right,
which really, he got a Grammy for that, and
right.
that just got him firmly established, and you know, he also knew the Beatles and all that sort of you know, people like that during the I have a wonderful photograph of him and Muhammad Ali.
Oh wow.
Both looking mad. Both looking quite mean. One of those kind of photos, and our connector, I guess one of our principal people there was Bob Newworth, a fellow from Alliance, Ohio, who was Dylan's road manager for a while, and he was also a player and a songwriter. And he and I used to pick together, and I found that to be lots of fun.
Well,
Ramblin' Jack too is another person who's great to pick with.
Mm-hmm.
Gordon, what do you think you'd be doing right now if it wasn't music?
Well, I'll tell you, I probably, I don't think could possibly have been really doing anything else. That's the way I feel about it.
Okay.
I had. Well, I guess I'd be retired.
Okay.
And that might be good, but then it would probably be bad too because I like to be busy.
Now, how many instruments do you play?
Guitar, piano.
You were messing around with the drums for a while. You still play?
Oh yeah, I got a job. I'm never proud of the fact that I played drums because the first time I was ever offered a job, it was because the band. This was back in grade 13 in high school, by the way.
All right.
The local band leader, Charlie Andrews, needed somebody to sing and play the drums, and he gave me a set of drums and gave me some records to go home and listen to. And then they put the mic up in front of me, and I played the drums and I sang.
Let's do some more name dropping here. How about Hank Snow? Tell me the role or influence he played in your life and career.
He was that sort of ever-driving force, and in my early adult life and shortly after I got married, he had a whole string of hits, and I was really tuned into country radio at that time, and he just came out with some great material. Then a couple of guys up here did a TV special on Mr. Snow. It was a documentary that went on for a couple of segments. And really gave me an idea of what he was all about and where he came from. And he has a smashing record. He's from Halifax, Nova Scotia, and he's probably one of our... He and Wealth Carter are probably the two biggest country artists that the country has produced from that era.
Did he do On the Wings of a Snow White Bird?
I beg your pardon?
Did he do On the Wings of a Snow White Bird?
I don't think he did.
That was Husky.
Ferlin Husky, right.
Ferlin Husky.
Yeah, Ferlin Husky.
How about Pete Seeger? What influence did he play in your professional life?
You know, it's very interesting. I only met Pete twice. In a way, Amber, I kind of envy Arlo Guthrie in a way because he gets to work with Pete.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is great, you know, and Arlo's a great musician too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But really, the way Pete affected me was through the Weavers, and their album at Carnegie Hall had a very profound effect on me and my productivity.
In one of the album notes, it says that he influenced you toward guitar. Is there any truth to that?
Who's that?
In one of your album notes, it says that Pete Seeger encouraged you to pick up the guitar. Is there any truth to that?
I don't know if that's true.
Yeah.
I don't think he did.
Okay. How about
I met him at a couple of the Newport folk festivals. That's really where I met him.
How about Woody Guthrie?
Never met Woody Guthrie.
Wow.
Influence your career, you think?
I would think so because I listened to a lot of his records.
Right.
And one of his really star pupils, of course, was Jack Elliott.
Right, Ramblin' Jack.
I got to know Jack quite well. Jack was a very friendly, outgoing guy. Had a lot of friends, still does.
Harry Belafonte.
Harry Belafonte was recognized as a great concert artist, and I found out when I was about 26, 27 that he was interested in some of my material. And when he would come to Toronto to play, he would have my wife and I at that time down to see the concerts, and we even partied together. He would come back and spend some time with us back at our home. He got to know my music quite well until Albert Grossman stepped into the picture and said, "We don't want anybody doing this stuff. We want Gordon to do it himself,"
right.
That sort of thing. I think back to an album by Harry Belafonte, who is a very passionate singer, recorded live in Carnegie Hall in New York, I believe, around about 1958, or perhaps a little later, a little sooner, I'm not sure. A wonderful album of Harry Belafonte in Carnegie Hall, which made me know and realize how it feels to do a live concert in a concert hall.
So he was very inspiring for you then.
Inspiring probably is the word for it.
Yeah.
And I have known him for years and years and years. And I haven't seen him for a while, but...
How about Art Snyder?
Art Snyder, the music man.
Tell us a little bit about him.
He had the first Canadian recording company, Chateau Records, and it was he who introduced me to Nashville and to those musicians that we hear on this anthology that we have out on right now. And he was the choral director on the TV show, the TV series that I worked on here with Gordy Tapp and King Ganem and the Hames sisters and Tommy Common and Tommy Hunter and so forth. And he was a brilliant musician. Unfortunately, he died a few years ago, and he actually recognized something in me that was enough that they gave me a chance to play solo on the television show.
Cool.
And shortly after that, he had a little junket going down to Nashville, and I got to record. So that was what Art Snyder did for me. And he tried to help a lot of other Canadian artists too, but at that time he was just a little bit too far ahead of his time, and he really couldn't help anybody as much as he would like to have.
Okay.
And that was also before they had the Canadian content ruling.
Oh, where the...
where they had to play a certain percentage of Canadian talent on the radio.
What is it now? It's something like 35% now?
Yeah, it was something like that.
Yeah.
How about Ian Tyson?
Ian's a great friend. Sylvia, Ian and Sylvia Tyson. Our careers began in Toronto in the same clubs. Theirs progressed through 3 or 4 years of the what they call the hootenanny era, which was the really early stages of the folk revival. And they appeared on American television, and they were going around doing college dates all over the States way back when. Discovered my material and were the first to record it.
All right. Peter, Paul, and Mary.
Peter, Paul, and Mary, being close to Ian and Sylvia also. You see, here's where the luck comes in. The songs were shown to Peter Yarrow by Ian, and Peter, Paul, and Mary were also making an album, so they said, fine, we'll do them.
All right.
We'll both do them.
They did for Love and Me and Early Morning Rain.
And Early Morning Rain. Each group did those two songs. No, I don't believe that Ian and Sylvia did for Love and Me, but Peter, Paul, and Mary did for Love and Me and had a big hit with it, and it probably is the most chauvinistic song that a person could ever have written, and yet at the time, I was totally naive about chauvinism or anything. So
it's still a good. It's still a good song.
Oh, sure.
It's still a good song. I like
what
that song.
What did I say?
Anybody else you want to mention here, Gord, before we move on to the artistic process?
Oh, dear. So many fine people. And meeting quite a few, but it's back to the drawing board and back to the road, right?
Right.
Okay.
In an interview in the mid-'70s, this is a quote, "I'm a borderline case. I don't sing rock, and I ain't country or pop or anything you can pigeonhole. They don't know what I am."
I got that figured out. Adult contemporary.
And what is it that qualifies you or puts you in that category, you think?
Because it sounds good.
All right.
Adult contemporary.
Adult.
That is the only place it can be. But then I'm known as a folk artist too, and that's good. But as far as category, it's adult contemporary.
Okay.
But if it sounds good, who cares what you call it, right?
The name sounds good too. That's what I'm doing.
Now, at one point in time, you transitioned kind of away from a primarily acoustic sound to adding drums and electric instruments and things like that. You said that was kind of essential. You viewed that as being essential. Can you tell us a little bit why that was essential for you?
Wanted to get more sound, I guess.
Okay.
You know, I like to get. I started to get the feel of a toe tapper.
Okay.
In my soul, and That was a term that was passed on to me by my friends, the Good Brothers.
Okay.
That's what you call what they would call any sort of a song with a beat.
A toe tapper.
Yeah.
Has anyone in particular inspired you to write?
To write?
Yeah.
You know, I've gotten inspiration from friends, actually just from people a lot of times. But it really helps to listen to other people's work. It really, really does. Just in a very oblique way, you some of it's going to rub off on you.
What's the longest it's taken you to write a song?
It can take it could take months, or it could take weeks, or just days, or maybe even hours. It used to be like that. 2 or 3 hours used to be like that, but it takes a lot longer now. I don't mind. But it takes a bit longer.
Is there any particular song in your catalog that you are proudest of?
I would have to say, at the risk of leaving out the Canadian Railroad Trilogy, I don't know. The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald is it is a chronologically correct song, and I'm quite happy with the way that one came out, and knowing that so many people would hear the song made it super important to me to do it right. And there is a little conjecture, of course, but not like all that much, really.
Right.
Do you ever use a rhyming dictionary?
Yeah, I've tried that. I got more out of reading the preface, the notes the guys wrote at the start of the book. And I got out of the rhyme. It was like it had a whole sort of philosophy about it, a go for it kind of a feel, you know?
Right. Do you have favorite keys you like to write in?
G, A, D, C, and E.
Okay.
And keep it on the second position.
Okay.
Makes it rough on the bass player, and it makes it rough on the keyboard player too, but you know, our keyboard player is a very talented, very talented player, and some of the keys that I throw at him, but it's okay for the pads and the special effects that he uses, and he does a great job in the keys that we give him.
Through the years, you seem to have been able to surround yourself with very good backing musicians.
Just lucky again, I guess. I was lucky to have a great lead guitarist and a great bass player as part of my original trio back in 1965. So they stayed with me about 7 years, and the people I have now are every bit as good too. And we've been together a long time. We're sort of working on the same kind of longevity cycle as the Moody Blues or something like that. You know, almost. When you think about it, those guys still got the energy to get out there and play. So do we. It's fun. We got a great little band. It's 5-piece now, including myself, and we try and do a tasteful job as we can and make sure we're in real good tune.
How often do you write, Gord?
Well, it's more sporadic now because my new family life has come into the picture. As you probably may or may not know, I was married again for the second time 11 years ago, and I have 2 young children again all of a sudden, and I'm 61 years old. It kind of does curtail the time a little bit because you have to divide the time between the family and the work, and it's going to distract or detract a little bit. But, I don't mind because I'm going to get the job done. As long as my health is going to hold together, which I hope is going to be for a while longer now, and just keep on doing it, and the family, and try and look after more with the family.
Well, it's so fortunate when you are able to do something that not only you are good at doing, but seem to be quite passionate about.
Do you know what I got here? Can you hear my... Here, this is good. Can you hear my snow shoveler shoveling outside the window here? Can you hear him?
No.
Well, he's doing it. Looks to me like there's about 5 or 6 inches of snow out there.
Oh, wow.
It's been snowing all day here. How is it down there?
It's actually quite nice. Very, very warm for the season. I think it got up to like 55 or 60 degrees.
Muddy, like an early spring day.
Yeah.
Nice day to take a walk.
Yeah, I've been chasing down a big leak in the roof all day. You should see
Oh,
it.
no.
I like it, though. I'm not complaining. I like it.
Are you a good handyman?
No, that's just it. You know, we're holding our own. You know, that's it. When it comes to leaks, I mean, you just hold your own, and
Yeah.
it's all covered. Everything's
I guess
covered.
so.
We're all set.
That's neat.
Yeah.
What do you think has made you successful?
I really do. I've said this so many times. It must be like I'm going to start to sound like Wayne, like Wayne Gretzky or something. and yet I think I love to play the music. I really do, in the same way and with the same passion that Wayne Gretzky likes to play hockey. I'll bet you. I will bet you.
All right.
That I like to play.
Starting out,
I like to play hockey.
If you were starting out today as an up-and-comer or trying to make a go of it, you think you'd make it today? Got any thoughts on that?
If I don't know. I can only think back, and I know I played spent about 6 years. The first 6 years of my career playing in bars and coffee houses. And I had a great time, and I'm not complaining about one minute of it. It was a wonderful experience all the way around. Got married during that period of time. Fell to the bottom fall out of the marriage. Kept on working. But what the hell was I talking about? That is the question.
Do you have any advice for writers?
You got to get heard. I guess that's the point. The question of advice to writers is you got to get it heard. You have to get it heard. You have to be playing. You have to be working. You have to be somewhere.
Take action.
Yeah, where something can happen, where somebody can hear you, or something like that. And there was lots of places like that around here in Toronto, and I was just lucky in that way. You know, I've been very, very fortunate in this business, and very lucky at very important times too. And whether anybody wants to agree with it or disagree with it, there's a certain amount of luck involved, and of that there is no doubt.
You know, the answer that you just gave about being heard, that kind of brought another question to mind. There's been, through the years, in my opinion anyway, a lot of really good stuff happening in Canada musically. But there seems to be a number of artists who are very successful in Canada, but are not particularly well known here in the United States. Off the top of my head, I think of maybe like Ian Thomas or the Rankin family or something like that, who are very good and seem to do well in Canada, but don't seem to draw much attention in the United States. And I've always wondered why that is, and I wonder if you have any thoughts on that.
Some of our acts have American managers. Let me set that straight. They've been fortunate enough to be able to acquire or get American managers involved in their careers earlier on. The case of Celine Dion is just such a powerful situation there. Her manager, of course, is not an American, but they're a powerful team, and she's a lady also who spoke French all her life and really actually had to become bilingual to know that she knew that she had to become bilingual to crack even the Canadian market.
Right.
Some of the other people you mentioned, I don't know. It's probably the lack of the American side, and it is important to have some kind of contact. And it's the same with Stomp and Tom Connors and with Rita McNeil too. They're a couple of great artists here whose roots are totally Canadian and will probably stay that way. But they're loved and admired here. Rita McNeil had a very successful TV show here, for instance.
Really?
The people like Bryan Adams and that, who are fabulous artists. You know, the talent, the cream always comes to the top, and you know, it's just the way it goes. The cream comes to the top. I'm happy to be a part of the mixture. That'll do me fine.
Gord, let's talk a little bit about your recording. What's the role of the producer in your process? And you were the producer here lately in the last
time. I'll tell you. I was. I'm in a. That's a matter of circumstance that I happen to be doing my own right now.
Okay.
When I was on United Artists, I had several producers, but when I got with Warner Reprise, I had one producer who worked with me for my whole time that I was there. Until he was moved into another job in the company, and I was offered a change, but I was also offered the option of producing my own records so that I could make them here in Canada,
right,
and not have to travel,
right,
do a whole lot of traveling and all that stuff. So what I would do is was have a real good engineer, which I had, a good engineer, Ken Friesen, an engineer, you know, top guy. We made several albums together here, and just make the songs, get the band in there, and get the job done, and handle the overdubbing of the instruments and the booking in of the musicians. I was able to write quite a bit, just about all my own charts, and you know, that's what production is.
Right. Do you have a favorite album of yours?
I gotta tell you, it's probably it would be East of Midnight. Would be my favorite, although
Wow.
it's not far above one of the most successful ones. It was made in 1985.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of cuts off there I like real well. You had other musicians come in and do a lot of the stuff there, except Barry Keane.
That was my shining hour as a producer. That is my production. There is one track on there by David Foster, but I produced all the other 9.
How do you like that track that David Foster produced?
It was fine. I worked with them for 4 days out there. We had the greatest time. I even got to play in a celebrity softball game one day. And honestly, it took 4 days to make the record, to make that track.
Wow.
That one track. Working a few hours
Anything
a day.
for Love?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was a single here in the States.
It was pretty close. It almost, but not.
I remember playing it. When I was at a radio station I was working at, we played it.
It got some play. It got some play.
Do you ever play that now in your tours?
Not now. I played at Thai with a track at one time.
Right.
I got the band track, and I did the vocal on stage with the band track, and people thought that was really strange. But was it fun?
Yeah. What do you think is your top 5 songs?
Top 5 songs.
And why?
Let me see if I can find it. It's a good thing we're working on a on a set list here. Good Lord. I don't know. I suppose Trilogy, If You Could Read My Mind, record of the Edmund Fitzgerald. I like The Watchman's Gone a lot, and Shadows in My Fashion.
Okay.
You know, a few of those, you know.
All right. What about, we had an email question from Alan Hunt, who's from New Hampshire, emailed in. He said, will you ever be releasing that album of rarities that we heard might come out? It was alluded to in the songbook box set.
That's a possibility.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a possibility. I probably wouldn't have, you know, it really hasn't been discussed yet, but it's probably about the next thing that we have to discuss with Rhino Records. I think that we've got some albums also that have not been come out in CD yet.
That was the other question.
We're talking about, yeah.
Do you know when they'll be coming out?
I'm not quite sure.
Do you have any influence on that?
Well, right now we got our hands full with getting ready to do to get the show onto a digital beta. around about the middle of April, and all my thoughts and all my training and everything is going into that now, and we've been working quite extensively getting ready for that one.
Talking about favorite songs, one, probably of all the songs of yours that I've heard, the one that rises to the top in my mind, I just love the thing, and I find it so haunting, and I've heard it, dozens of times, and I just never get tired of it, would be Daylight Katie. I've always loved that, and I've always wondered, when you put that one together, were you thinking of someone specific, or is this a character that you created?
It was and it wasn't.
Partly truth and partly fiction.
Yeah, I like that. A walk in contradiction, partly truth and partly fiction.
Yeah.
And but I like the song too, and we would do it too if it were not that it is. It's a tough one to handle on stage, and I've tried, but it was just a tough one to handle on stage.
It does have some very interesting chord changes in it.
Yeah, it's the harmonies and everything are very critical in that one. It's one of those things. I have to do the ones that will work well in front of the crowd. You follow me?
Yes.
So how do you gauge that? Do you gauge by faces or how much they're moving in their seats, tapping those toes?
Well, it changes over time.
Right.
And the set interchanges as time goes by, and the ones. It's there's even a rotational process that goes into that, which I explained to you, Ty.
Right.
But the tires, it's like songs are like tires. They have to be rotated every once in a while.
If for your own sanity, if nothing else, I would imagine.
That sort of thing, but.
I have another email question, Gordon. This is from Lisa Beam, a Springfield, Illinois lady.
Okay, Lisa.
Would like to know, is there any difference between Canadian and American audiences?
Good question.
That's a question I get asked a lot, and if you're doing them the kind of show that they want to hear, there's no difference.
Gotcha.
If you're not doing a good show, they're not going to like you no matter which side of the border you're on, Lisa.
Thank you.
Do you recall?
But they are, as people, we're very, very similar. We've wonderful similarities all up and down the North American line here.
Right.
The Canadians and Americans are really quite sort of all cut from the same cloth. I've always thought, including the French and the English and all of us.
Right.
In reference to performing live, do you recall your first solo live performance?
Solo live performance, yeah. Of any note would have been one of the talent contests in Aurelia. My mom was into this with me, and believe me, not in a bad way and not in a pushy way.
Good.
Probably on stage at the Opera House in Aurelia with Sandra Lounsbury when we sang a duet together, her in a gown and I in a top hat and a little suit. When we were about 8 or 9 years old.
Looking quite dapper, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Is there a museum in Aurelia?
Not really. No, not really.
If people visit there, are they going to be able to find anything connected with you there?
Oh, you mean for our stuff?
Yeah.
No, they've talked about doing that, but for me to archive this stuff out, there just isn't the time.
Right.
Do that right now.
You used to have a rule of no tuning on stage. Is that still true?
No, I can do it a bit more now that we got the keyboards, and we do occasionally, but we try to stay away from it because it breaks the flow. If it only happens every once in a while, it can be kind of fun, though.
Right.
Yeah.
Are there any other rules you have, standing rules for your guys on stage?
Yeah, stand there.
That is kind of important, yes.
only the drummer is allowed to sit down on his job.
What if they wanted to dance around, wear a red bandana, or
I know what you mean, Tom. I know what you mean.
Or a top hat.
Could there be a little bit more motion No, they're there to play. They're moving. They don't look like they're moving, but I'll tell you, they're moving.
They're moving.
Oh yeah, they're moving.
I love it.
What would you say to somebody that would say, Gordon, turn it up, crank it up, baby?
I'll do it if I don't get overtones.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
Bob will hear that out front, and he will do that when they start when he hears them when he hears a complaint or two.
Right.
I take that as fun, actually. I know that we're not too soft. I know that we're an acoustic act.
Right.
Some people expect you to be coming on a little bit stronger, but you're giving them all pretty much what you can put out.
Right. Now, you have 5 Grammy nominations, I think.
4 or 5, I'm not sure which.
Okay.
There were 2 in one year. There was one for Best Single and Best Song on the record, the Emmett Fitzgerald. And 2 earlier on that were in connection with my United Artists albums that I made of the 5. A couple of them got nominated. I was asked to appear but declined. I didn't think I was ready to do it. I just didn't think I had the confidence, and neither did Albert Grossman, my manager, and I agreed with him, and he agreed with me. I didn't want to do it. I just was not ready to stand up and sing a song on the Grammy Awards.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to read you something,
in
Gordon.
1967.
I'd like to read you something here from a Buffalo news critic. 1998 said, "Until American chauvinism takes a back seat to common sense, no one is going to believe that Lightfoot is one of the best lyricists to pen a verse since the heyday of Hammerstein and Hart."
I don't know about that. I don't know about that, man.
You think you consider yourself one of the greats of all
those
time?
showstoppers, those old showstoppers, they were the best.
Oh, sure.
At penning a lyric. I mean, there again, if you ask me to name names, my biggest problem is I can't even, I can't think of anybody because there's so many of them.
Right.
You could start with Cole Porter, I guess. But I don't know. I just like to go with the flow. That's it.
Right.
Now, you've accomplished so much in your career, and it sounds like in your life in general. Is there anything in your career that you have not yet done, or you haven't, a goal that you've set that you've not yet achieved that you're working toward? Because you sound fairly content.
My goal is I'm going to go back to the analogy that we had about Wayne Gretzky.
Yes.
I probably like singing as much as he liked playing hockey. And my big goal is to keep on playing.
Keep on keeping on.
I guess I could carry that a step further and say we're fortunate and lucky to be able to do so.
Yes.
Was it fun making Harry Tracy?
It was. It was an experience and a great deal of fun.
Now, you almost got squished by a train, didn't you, or something?
Almost, but not quite.
Well, that would ruin your day.
It was bad. It was real bad, and but it didn't happen. And I was real glad because I was about 40 miles away from the nearest, 40 miles away from anywhere, and it was about 30 below zero.
Oh man. Do you have favorite films?
A favorite film?
Yeah, like.
Oh my God!
Are you a film fan?
Yes, I am. If I could think about that, I could probably name you quite a few, I suppose.
Okay. Do you have a home theater system?
No, I don't have any of that stuff, Ty.
Okay.
Just straight ahead. Just the little cassette.
Are you a pet lover?
Well, I'm not a pet lover, but I do have a dog.
I thought I was hearing a dog in the background at one point.
Eh?
Was that a dog we were hearing a minute ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
I didn't think it was a snow show.
That's the dog.
Or it was that pesky leak.
That's the family pet.
And what kind of dog would that be?
It's a lab. It's a little female lab.
Now, talking about home theater and kind of what as far as watching and listening to things at home, when you're just when you're just listening to music on your own time, are there any particular artists you tend to gravitate to these days?
In the modern idiom,
Yes.
I hear what's coming along, and the very latest hot band I heard of was Big Mouth Mason.
Big Mouth Mason?
Big Mouth Mason.
Haven't heard of them.
Well, that's because they're so new that they're just
Wow.
hot off the press.
A tip from Gordon Lightfoot, look out for Big Mouth Mason.
Gord, you got a TV shoot coming up here. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Okay, we're going to do the show in Reno at the Pioneer Theater. Tickets will be available to the public to a degree. I believe about 800 seats, and the rest will be given to PBS, who are co-sponsoring the show. And we're going to put about 30 songs down and get the exposure through PBS of the concert on television. Plus one play by the CBC, or is it 3 or 4 plays by CBC of a 1-hour version. PBS version will be an hour and a half long. And it will be the record of what we wear as a band, and it's important that I make that because we don't have very much video footage available.
Right.
I'm very much looking forward to that.
So am I.
We hope it's going to be good. We hope it's going to come out real good because it's a one take. It's just one take, and we had a dry run with doing a much more music one here, and it came out quite well. And we're making some adjustments in our tempos and one thing and another right now.
When will that air in America?
The PBS one?
Yeah.
Next fall. In the fall, I believe.
Fall 2000. Okay. I know at some point in time, we don't know when that's going to be. We hope it's a long time. You're going to retire. What are you going to do when you retire? What will that mean exactly?
I'm not sure about that. I've started thinking about that too. We all start thinking about it.
Right.
I'm not sure. I'm going to play it by ear, see what happens. I'm just going to keep on playing. I'm going to stick to my goal and play. I'm going to go after those. I'm going to find those longevity factors in career. I know that life is another story, but
right.
As far as playing goes, I love to play, and I'm going to.
Speaking of life, what's you think some of the most important things you've learned on your way to age 61?
To
getting where you got.
I like to let my conscience bother me. I really do. I like to let my conscience bother me because since I gave up alcohol in 1982, I have been kind of feeling in a repentant state ever since that time, and it's a comfortable sort of a feeling, and I hope to keep it that way. And if I can keep my marriage together and keep my life together and love my children, all my kids, and do the family responsibility, I'll be able to play. I'll be able to
It sounds like
play the music.
It sounds like you've got your priorities in exactly the right order, I would think.
50-50. 2 priorities right at the top there. Family, music. It's quite simple.
What makes you laugh, Gord?
Usually those very what is the word? The incongruities, incongruousness, incongruous things that
Paradoxical kinds of things?
Yeah. I wish I could give you an example, but.
Anything you'd like to say to the folks that we haven't got into, parting words and things that are on your mind?
Well, just say wish you well, and those of you out there trying to get your stuff heard, I don't know. You can play in bars. You can try and get it down on record so that people can hear it. I don't know. It's always so hard to give an answer to people when they say, "How do you get started?"
Right.
And I just want to wish everyone well, and like you say, go for it. Like they say in that old rhyme dictionary.
Exactly.
Just go for it.
Exactly. It's you're a sweetheart for coming on and doing this.
Oh, I personally can't thank you enough. It was very kind of you to give us the time. I mean, that's one of the most valuable commodities anybody has is their time, and you chose to give us some of yours, and I appreciate it very much, and I know Ty does.
That means a great deal, Gordon. I really thank you a
Well,
bunch.
thank you, Jim. I'm very pleased to. Ty and I have been friends for about 17 years too, so we know each other.
Well, it's definitely a pleasure to make your acquaintance because not only musically, but just sitting here talking to you for the past hour, I'm thinking to myself, you know what? I really like this guy. This guy's all right.
That's good. I'll go and join my kids. They're watching The Mummy.
Ah,
They got The Mummy.
gonna pop some popcorn?
Probably.
All right.
You take care, buddy. And
Okay, Ty.
God bless. Keep on keeping on, and
Well, tell you what, I'll give you a buzz next week or something like that.
I love that.
Drop area. Give me a time frame next week, and
We'll do
chat
it.
next week.
Well, come on back to Springfield some point. It's been a few years.
To where?
Springfield, where we're at now.
I thought you said there for a second. Frisco. I'm sorry. I thought you said Frisco.
No.
I said where?
No, Springfield, Illinois, mired in the great Midwest.
Oh yeah, I know. We've played there too a couple of times, 2 or 3 times.
Yes.
Actually in Springfield.
Yes, one
Once
was
at the university too.
That's the one I was thinking of. Yes.
Yeah.
well,
okay.
we're gonna play Lightfoot tunes the rest of the night, and we love you, man. So take
Don't
care.
OD on it.
Never. Couldn't do that.
No way. You
Okay,
take care.
Ty. Talk to you next week. Good night, Jim.
Thank you, man. God bless you.
Bye,
Okay,
Gord.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Right, bye.